What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have a pretty interesting video for you guys here today. This is the Hori Tactical Assault Commander Grip controller. It's a pretty long name, I'm probably just going to be calling it G1. But what this is a mouse slash controller hybrid. It's pretty unorthodox, I've never reviewed anything like it. So as you can see, it's for PS4 and PS3. I don't really play PS3 anymore, so I'm going to be testing it on PS4. It is officially licensed, so you know it's going to work no matter what updates come out for the PlayStation. You know, no matter what version you have, Slim, Pro, or just the regular, it's going to work. And you know it will because of that little seal of approval there. So yeah, it's by the company Hori, which you guys probably know by now. They have a lot of great products, so I knew I couldn't really go wrong picking this up. Now, they have a few different variations of this mouse hybrid thing, some with an actual keyboard, and I wasn't really into that, and I'll get into later why I got this model in particular, but yeah. So taking a look at the back of the box here, it's actually in Japanese, but I don't want that to throw you off and make you think this is some obscure foreign product that you can't trust or anything. It's not really like that. Basically, Hori is a Japanese company, much like Sony is. So some of their more rare controllers and peripherals are just not branded in complete English, but it's still a complete usable product by anyone, anywhere. You can even buy it from American retailers. I got mine on Amazon. You can probably find it on eBay. It's not really that obscure. It's just one of their more rare controllers that it hasn't seen a lot of mainstream promotion in the Americas or anywhere else besides Japan, I guess. Which is weird because they're still selling it in the US right now, so I'm not sure why, but it genuinely makes no difference. So I'm unboxing it here now. I did unbox, I recorded the unboxing live, however I just didn't record the audio for me talking, so I'm talking over it now. But yes, it comes in a very nice sleeve that you can take off there, very premium packaging and everything. So here's some warning you get in Japanese. I'm not sure what that's talking about. The instructions are here as well. Those are also in Japanese. Pretty sure I can figure out the controller on my own, so I'm not going to be needing to translate any of this. So yeah, into the box here, you take off this little foam cover, and here's your mouse and controller. So in this little plastic sleeve here is the strap that you can hook to the grip of the left side of the controller. I don't see myself using it that much. I'm just going to be resting the controller down, so I don't think I need that. But if you're someone who moves around a lot, you might find the extra grip useful. I don't know, but I don't think I'm going to be using it. I guess they just include it because there's no right side to grip the controller, so the weight is a little uneven in one hand. But anyway, moving on. Here is the main stuff. So this is the mouse. This is what your right hand will be controlling, and I'll let you hear how it sounds when it clicks. So yeah, I mean, it sounds just like a regular mouse. Here are the buttons on the side. There's L1 and R1, and there's also these S and Q buttons, also all mechanical, that can be remapped to anything that you want them to be. And the scroll wheel is there as well, you can remap that. There's also two buttons behind the scroll wheel, which I think change the profile, if you want to have multiple profiles on this controller. So yeah, this is the controller portion. This is what will be in your left hand when you play. Taking a look at the top here, this is where your face buttons will be. So you have X, square, triangle, and circle, and also an FN button that can be remapped. Any of these can be remapped. Same goes for the mouse portion as well. So on the front, you have a pretty standard Hori D-pad. I've never had any problems with those. You have a share and options button, PS button in the middle. You have an assign button. I'm not too sure about that. You have a fully functional touchpad. It works for swipe commands as well as a clickable button, and you have an analog stick on the left. Also on the top, you have these two switches. There's an off and adjust one. I'm not sure what that does. And on the right, there's a PS4 and PS3 switch. So those little grooves on the handle is where you'd connect the strap if you wanted to. And look, right there on the bottom is a headset jack. I was pretty surprised, but it does have one. You won't need to buy any brand new headset. You can still use the same one you've been using on your DualShock, and you should be just fine. So yes, you plug the mouse into the controller and then the controller into the console. So I'm going to plug it in, test it out, and I'll tell you guys what I think about it. Alright guys, so all the gameplay you're going to be seeing was achieved with the G1 controller, as you can see in the top right. Sorry if the unboxing part of the video was a little rushed. I just didn't want the video to be any longer than it needed to be because there's a lot to say about this controller. It's pretty cool. So something I want you guys to know is that this gameplay was captured after tons and tons of practice beforehand. Like, I've had to put a lot of hours into this. This is coming from myself, who has been a console gamer basically my whole life. I've never really played on PC, so this was a huge learning curve. It was just a different way to play. And I don't want it to throw you off. If you pick this up and the first thing you think when you try it is, this is weird, I don't like it, I just want to return it, I want to go back to controller, but guys, you got to put some time into it. So with that out of the way, what I wanted to get into now is why I picked up this one in particular as opposed to some other ones out there on the market. So there's a few different mouse keyboard adapter things you can get for the PS4. Hori actually offers two other ones. They are called the K1 and the M1. They're both basically a keyboard and mouse. It's, instead of the left hand being an analog stick, it's a keyboard, and that's the main reason I stayed away from those. Because when I play, I like to sit back, maybe on my bed, or just relax. I don't really want to have a keyboard up on a desk. I'm never really playing in that sort of setting. So it's easy enough to use the mouse like on the side, you know, maybe resting it on a pillow, but when if you're gonna have a keyboard there, it's a little too strict of a setting requirement. You'd have to be flat on a desk. It would just feel weird if you were laying back with it. So then if you look into some other brands, you find there's a couple different ones. There's one called the Zim 4, and they also have a newer version called the Zim Apex, and to my knowledge, it's just the same thing, but a slightly smaller device. And so what that is just a complete adapter. You basically need your own mouse and keyboard. Again, I don't want to use a keyboard, and that's why I stayed away from that. And there's also one called the Venom X4. It's by 2ACT, and this one actually does include a little analog stick nunchuck, and it looked really cool, and I was actually close to picking it up. It is quite a bit more expensive than this Hori one, so that kind of drew me away from it. And also, it includes a lot more extra things, like you have to have this whole box adapter to sit there. You have to keep your DualShock plugged in the whole time. I wasn't even sure my DualShock would work because mine is the first generation that doesn't have the ability to connect and use through USB. It only charges through USB. It's a long story, so I just didn't see it as being practical for my use, and I didn't want all that extra wiring and stuff because you do have to keep it plugged in the whole time you play. So that as well drew me away. So I ended up going with this Hori one. This was the only one that was officially licensed, so neither the Zim 4 or the 2ACT Venom X4 were officially licensed, so I don't know if they were going to work in the long run. It was just not as sure of a purchase for me as this Hori one, so that's why I ended up with this one. And I almost forgot, there was one other one I looked at called the Frag Effect Shark by Splitfish. Now, I've heard of this company. They've made mouse controllers and like two-handed controllers for PlayStation. I think they had one back on PS3. This Frag Effect Shark I could not find anywhere sold in the US. I'm not sure. I think it's Dutch. I think it's like some weird... They have a channel. I'll link their channel in the description where they make live streams of this controller all the time. And you can comment on their stream and ask them about it and they'll tell you. And they're usually pretty good at getting back. They were supposed to release another version of their controller called the Piranha, which is a wired version. So the Frag Effect Shark is wireless while the Piranha is the same thing but wired. And this was announced back in like 2015, so I'm not really sure what their company is doing because it's still not out, and they said they were going to release it in April last I heard, and then they never did. And there's a third one called the Octopus, so I'm not sure. They didn't even reveal what the Octopus was. I'm not sure when this is supposed to come out, and when I asked them about the controller, they had no response. They just ignored it. So I don't know. I think they're hiding something. I'm not sure about their company. So I just did not go with, even if I wanted to pick up the Frag Effect Shark, it's not available anywhere to buy in the US, at least right now. So yeah, it did look pretty cool, and I would have really considered it because it has the nunchuck, the analog stick in one hand, and the mouse in the other. And not to mention, it is supposedly officially licensed by Sony, which is weird because it's a pretty obscure product, but the package does show it as being officially licensed. But if you can get your hands on one, feel free. I'm not doubting that it would work well, and I like that it's a half controller, half mouse. Those are really the ones that I like. Having the analog stick in the left hand is really the only ones I considered when making this purchase. But by all means, if you're coming from PC and you're used to using a keyboard, then I would definitely go with one of the Horis or the Zim 4, and I think even the Venom X4 allows you to plug in a keyboard. Even though it does come with a nunchuck, you can still use a keyboard, but if you're a console gamer, I would definitely go with one that allows you to have an analog stick in the left hand. So a couple precautionary things you want to do when you purchase this Hori G1 is you want to download the software that is on their website. Now, I will provide all these links in the description because this is kind of hard to find. It's more on their Japanese version of their website than their USA version. So again, it just has to do with it not being branded in English, but you can find the Hori TAC grip under the UK section. That's just what they're calling it for the English version, but it should work just fine on any Windows PC. Now, also they offer this update, this firmware update for the controller, and I was using it before the firmware update, and I'll be honest, I didn't really notice that much of a difference, but it would be good. You know, you can't go wrong with updating to the latest firmware, and you can also downgrade it if something weird happens. But it is pretty important to download the software because it is really cool. You can remap any of the buttons. It shows a whole heads-up display of what buttons are mapped where, and I will show you guys my settings, what I use. You can change the sensitivity of the mouse, the dead zones, everything. It's really cool. I've only seen a couple other videos of this controller on YouTube, some of them biased and some of them like just really uninformed. And none of them talked about the software, so this is really important. It's going to help you find the settings you want and make it work the best. And what I found is that you find a setting in the software that you like, and after that, you go into your game and change the settings in the game, you know, sensitivity, controls, and whatnot. And that's how you tailor it to the best use. So now that I went over all that, I haven't really told you guys what I think about it, like how it actually feels. It is really good. I told you that I practice with it. At first it does feel weird, but once you get the hang of it, you just feel a little more in control. Like, and I say a little, that's putting it lightly. Like, the more I'm using it, the better I'm getting with it. So I feel better every day when I'm using it. And as you may know, like through the history of my channel, I've liked to review a lot of different controllers, some accurate, some not so accurate in terms of the stick precision. So I'm pretty familiar with how accurate I should be in game. And even with the most accurate analog sticks, there's something I always feel is missing. Like, I can't control my character as precise as I know I want to, as I know I should be, but I'm just limited a little bit by, I guess, the small axis of the stick. And what the mouse allows me to do is, I think the technical reason behind it is that it just gives you a lot more room to work with. You have basically like an unlimited space to move your character with the mouse, and it's kind of like the same concept as Control Freaks. The extended stick means you have more room to work with when you turn the stick, and you can make more precise movements. That's kind of how it is with the mouse. So instead of your thumb dictating all of your precision, you can use your wrist, which can make a lot more incremental movements than your thumb can. And it works. As you get used to it, you're going to find that it feels a lot better, and you don't have to be a PC gamer to like it. I think the main reason regular analog stick controllers like the DualShock became popular with consoles is because they're more convenient. You can just hold them in your hands. You don't need a flat surface to rest a keyboard or a mouse on. The beauty of this Hori G1 is that it is half controller, so you have kind of half the convenience already. The mouse can be just on your side. Like in this footage, I'm playing on the edge of my bed actually, and that's not even what I usually do. I did that just for the purpose of recording it, but what I usually do is just lay back on my bed. I can sit basically just on my back, just with my head propped up, looking at the TV with the controller portion resting in my lap, and the mouse is just to my side, like maybe on a pillow. And you can really relax with it. You don't have to be propped up. It's not an uncomfortable experience whatsoever. You can relax just the same as you would with a controller. For console gamers, this is really a likable product. I mean, I think it definitely bridges the gap between PC and console controls. I don't know how much I can speak for that because I have never really played on PC extensively, so I'm not sure how accurate a mouse and keyboard actually is when you're playing a PC game. Of course, console games are designed with controllers in mind, so it's never going to be 100% native, like the controls. It's not meant for that, and I've heard, console games have controller acceleration, for the sensitivity and whatnot. A game like Battlefield 1 actually has super extensive settings that make it look like a PC game, so that already bridged the gap. I think Battlefield is almost like a PC experience anyway in terms of graphics and settings and everything. But again, I can't say that coming from PC and using this Hori G1, you're going to feel 100% at home. I just know that from a console player's perspective, this is going to increase your control and accuracy once you get used to it and play with it for a while. So basically what I'm saying here is, if anything, it's better than using a controller. I'm not saying it's as good as a PC, but it's better than using a controller, which is really all you could ask for. So as far as what games you would play with this, you would probably want to stick to shooters or anything where you're controlling a character in like an open world, or not so much an open world, but at least an open level. So in other words, you don't want to play like sports games with this. You don't want to play like side scrollers or anything that's like not 3D open space. I tried playing NBA 2K just for fun to see what would happen, and it does not work well. I find my character getting stuck a lot because that game's meant for the right stick to be flicked about pretty fast, so if you're using a mouse, it's not going to turn out well, and you'd pretty much be at a disadvantage. It works best for first-person shooters. It can work good for battle royale games, like here I'm playing H1Z1. I tried it in Fortnite, of course, because everyone plays Fortnite. Fortnite's actually a rather odd case because they do allow you to plug in a mouse and keyboard to use natively on the console, because I'm pretty sure they allow crossplay with PC players. They have been having some issues with crossplay lately. Everyone's kind of mad at Sony for like locking their accounts to PlayStation or something, but I think when you do plug a mouse and keyboard into your console to play Fortnite, it takes off aim assist. So this controller will grant you the ability to use a mouse while still having aim assist, because I think it does that for balancing issues, but you'll be able to keep it with this controller, so that's an added bonus. So I personally don't really like Fortnite or really any battle royale games. I'm just playing H1Z1 here to show you that it does work with this controller, and I know everyone loves Fortnite. I tried to get some gameplay of it. It just didn't turn out well. I guess I'm not too good at it. I don't really care to be very good at it. I'm not a fan of battle royale games because they're kind of slow paced, and once you do find action, it's so easy to die, and then it's really unforgiving because you have to start all over. So anyway, that's not what this video is about, but you should be fine to play any battle royale game with this controller. I was even playing God of War with it. It works really well. Anything where you can just control a character and move about and move back and forth, it should be fine to use. So something I want to touch on really quick that I don't really even consider an issue, but some people do, is that using a mouse or an adapter on console is cheating. Now, I don't even think it's close to cheating because, as far as I'm concerned, that's not even close to the level of control that PC players actually have. So it's just something a little better than controller, but it's not like it gives you aimbot or anything. It's still 100% up to the player how accurate they can be. If that's cheating, then by that logic, putting a control freak on your stick would be cheating. And by the way, control freaks don't fit on the left stick. The left stick's fine. It has textured dots on it. It's like a soft rubber, but it's a little too big for control freaks. Or at least the PS4 size control freaks. Maybe you can find bigger ones that fit. And the headset jack works as well. I was using it in all these gameplays, and you'll be good with that. So my final verdict is that I really recommend this Hori Commander G1, and why I recommend it is because it is of similar price to a lot of pro controllers like the Razer and the Nacon, and even some SCUF controllers, and in some cases it's way less expensive. I think there's a new SCUF that either just came out or is going to come out, and I would think twice about picking them up because I think using a mouse to control your aim offers so much more precision than an analog stick could ever offer. So I think it is the most expensive controller I've reviewed on my channel so far, but I do think it is worth every penny. And this was all my own decision. Hori didn't ask me to promote it or anything. So I will link you guys in the description to where I bought it and to the product page itself if you want to check it out. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching.